There are many reasons why I love Thursdays, but one of the major reasons is because it's right before Friday, meaning I'm closer to the weekend. No offense, ladies. So, with great joy in my heart, I say welcome to yet another exciting episode of Jasiri on News Central Television. Today, we are exploring the vibrant intersection of culture, creativity, and international collaboration as we discuss Nigeria and US creative art exchange programs. Now, these programs are not just about showcasing artistic talent, but also about fostering mutual understanding, empowering creatives, and building lasting connections across borders. We'll delve into how these exchanges inspire innovation, promote cultural diplomacy, and open new opportunities for artists from both nations. But that comes up in just a bit.
She says she likes the weekend. Does she like the weekend as much as we do?
Of course she cannot. She's single.
What? Wow, I'm sorry,
Wow.
Blessings.
You didn't have to go.
Blessings, I didn't know
apologize.
that it will hit that hard.
Even you, when you were saying it.
It just came out.
Please apologize
you
properly.
You didn't think
I
to say. That
apologize.
means you had it in your mind since.
Wow.
That I'm just hoping that your situation changes soon.
And I even wanted to say that even as much as we all claim to like the weekends, if you check out our stories, you can see Italawa. We're not always home on the weekends. Italawa. You know?
People.
This one says she likes weekends. Meanwhile, she'll be working for her money on the weekends.
Yeah.
Me, I say I like weekends, but meanwhile, this Christmas, I'm out on a Friday, I'm out on a Saturday, I'm out on a Sunday. We will do a one bed.
Yeah. If you see the outfit she has planned already.
You know it
Oh
now.
my God. She wants to outshine the celebrant.
It's not my
That's Lagos way.
Honestly.
But that's not
Lagos
me.
way.
Do you
I
know-
don't outshine.
Do you know
I'm
if
not
you
here
want to
for
have
that.
a party, you really need to research what you're going to be wearing because upstagers, they will make sure they crash your party and they'll be saying,
Because if you look at the picture sometimes, you're struggling to decide who
Who
is
is
the
the
celebrant, who is
Yes.
the bride.
Bride.
Do we want to talk about that?
Oh,
my
I don't even
God.
want to go
If
there.
you do that at my own event, I'll secretly have a squad
No, but I think
to
that
walk you
those
out.
celebrating know the caliber of people they
Know the type of
inviting.
people they're bringing.
So they already know what to expect. In fact, sometimes the celebrants now go the opposite way. They go minimalist.
Yeah.
So that they'll now say, no, it's just my kind. It's a lie. It's not you.
You know you can't compete with some of your friends.
You don't want to
Of
stress,
course.
so you go
But you know
minimalist.
what?
Yeah, yeah.
On this weekend thing, you guys remember when we were younger, we used to be like, don't worry. Corday tells me now I'll be able to make my own decision. I'm going to be out every day of the week. I'm going to be out every weekend.
Should we tell her?
Should we tell her?
They don't. Did we listen?
For real.
We're not the only ones. We didn't
course.
listen. They didn't listen. And now, right now, I literally beg. There is food at home. I understand this. I think we have rice at home. I understand. Don't worry. It will soon tire you because I'm tired sometimes. Outside is not always cracked up to be really.
It's not.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's not as jacked up as we think. But really, let's consider it. What is it that you would say it's when you matured that you realize that this thing is not all that? Because now that we're talking about maturity and talking about comparing notes, things that used to be, what is it, blessings, that you
think
would
it
say,
generally-
maturity just remove the hood,
The veil.
the veil from your
So
eyes.
I used to envy those big aunties that could wear whatever they wanted. I mean, every time I was in uniform, these aunties changing clothes. Like I used to wish. But now I'm like, what do I wear? I've repeated all the clothes I have.
No, and I still come back to that thing that Law Roach, outstanding stylist to Zendaya, says, do not be afraid to repeat. That thing where we feel like, oh, I've worn it already. My own thing is, until it's on camera and I've posted it,
Yeah.
you people have not seen it. But once I post it, I'll give it like another 3-4 months. No, it's not me.
But you know that there's something it does, aside to not wanting to do it for people, even you, like there's a confidence you get when you wear a new clothes that you don't really have when you repeat the ones that you had before. You just feel like, oh,
yeah.
this is just
And
a
when you have
bad
major
day.
events, let's not. It's just
Yeah,
imagine
it's
what
not easy.
Funke wore for a premiere. And she now wears it for another person's premiere.
She waits for a party.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
even
even
you,
at
what
parties.
are you going to do with the outfit you wore?
That outfit.
You see yourself?
You have to. I think now people
Honestly,
are even coming
I'll
to
repurpose it. What I'm
Exactly.
trying
Yes.
to do is
Yes.
repurpose clothes. Maybe wear the top with something else, wear the skirt with something else, just to
Find a way
find a
to.
way.
Because you can't be. We can't be doing
You
all
know,
that
one
fast
of the
fashion.
things I really wanted when I was, and that's really made a lot of wrong decisions for me. I wanted to live alone. You know, when I was younger, I never had that sense of belonging in my own house. Maybe because my father had 2 wives. There was just that, this is not my place. So I thought that when I got married, it would be my own space. If I know what I know now, that it's totally okay to live alone and be whatever age, I would have chosen that for myself. It's something that maturity taught me, that you didn't need to get married to have that sense of, this is my space. In my own time, that was where my head went. But right now, it's so wonderful to be an adult and live all by yourself if you choose to. It's something I would
Except
have
when you want to
loved.
buy curtains.
When you want to buy curtains,
Except when you
Have you
realize
already
how
started
much
buying
it is.
curtains?
I'm just saying,
Well, you
like,
want to
things
set
are
up the house.
expensive. Yeah.
She
and
wants
I
it
like
to
that.
be like, oh my
I
God.
actually enjoyed. I
When you
made it
get in.
purposeful. I made it purposeful to live alone. I lived with my sister for a bit. It was just the two of us. Then I lived alone for a while before I got married. And I recommend it for any young
Anybody.
woman.
Yeah.
Not anybody,
It's so
particularly, but I
good.
recommend it for young women. Don't go. I really don't believe in going from a guardian's house, a parent's house, whatever,
straight to
into
husband's
marriage. No, I don't.
It's
For
not a
me,
big thing.
I think part of maturity is also songs. So this morning, so in the mornings I do old school because I can't take all the bad news. I know I'm coming to work, I'm going to deal with a lot of bad news for most of the day, but I do songs. And this morning was a Madonna Renaissance. And then Like a Prayer came on. And I have a completely different view of the lyrics now. Guys,
my God.
go and listen to Madonna Like a Prayer again and then see if it resonates a different way. It's also this Murder, She Wrote. Go and listen, even go and Google the lyrics and
like-
see the difference. Now that you are an adult, you will understand the song a little. It's not
more.
talking about what you think it's talking
Talking about.
It's
There's so
not.
that lyrics thing, don't even go there, because what I was, everybody sang Sandalili, Sandalili. All those
But is it
things.
truly standard living? Sometimes I
My
feel like
dear.
they just make
I
these
think
things up.
maybe people are just making it up because he was so nice
Yes.
at Sandalili when he had no meaning. But now, another thing that adulthood taught me is that this false sense of independence that we all want. After some time, you have all the independence you can get, and you still wish you had someone saying, don't do this, don't do that.
Someone in your corner.
Yeah, saying,
Yeah.
no, I don't want you to do that. You know, just bearing on you in that way, putting boundaries in your life. Because when you were younger, now I used to tell them that, Mommy, I just can't wait. When I live by myself, I'm going to eat pizza all day. I look at her and
what
say,
Corey
eat
tells me.
pizza all day. Are you sure? You'll be so fat.
After the third
You will not
pizza,
even be
you'll
able
be
to.
tired.
You'll be tired. It's just like the first time I ate head of fish. Oh, I literally cried. You know, growing up, it was
reserved for
daddy's,
some
it
people,
was
yes,
reserved for daddy
yes.
or the most mature person in the house. So the first time I cooked croaker in my own house and ate the head without anybody saying I should reserve it, I literally cried.
I remember, so when I was growing up, we had a two-seater, and even though my dad died long before, we got used to not sitting on the two-seater because we
Two-seater.
just believed that it was... When I went to school and I got my place, because I lived alone for my 200 level, I bought a two-seater.
Ooh.
There was no space in the house. I just wanted
So
to
wanted to
sit on a
sit on it.
two-seater.
And I think, we think these things are small things, but when we
Yeah.
look back on all of it now, it's really not. It's like I go to the kitchen sometimes. It's me that bought the meat too. It's me that seasoned the meat too.
Yes,
It's me that's cooking the meat. I'll still be acting like I'm stealing from
Yes,
the
from
pot.
the pot.
Meanwhile, it's my own meat.
Yeah.
And so it's just
I
interesting
opened the
to
freezer gingerly. I want people to hear.
If you'll be putting pots back, you'll be thinking, don't let the cover fall. You're in your house, you're in the meat that you bought, But we actually also joined the conversation because there's somebody who asked about what the signs of maturing are. Let's get some of the reactions. People need to also talk about finding out that relationships were not all they cracked out to be. So
Yeah.
maturing is realizing what exactly? We're giving you some of our thoughts, so let's see what some of the reactions are. Wow, maturing is realizing that pride and love don't mix. You either drop your pride for the person you love or you lose them over your pride. That's the relationship conversation I was talking about. Someone says, maturing is realizing that not everyone will share your perspective, and that's okay. It's about finding common ground and learning from each other. And I think that's a
Yeah,
really good,
that's a good one.
That's a great one. And this one, love and pride are like water and petrol. They will not blend.
Second person saying
How
that.
depressing.
Interesting.
Well,
Because relationships, we have this whole fantasy. Let me tell you guys, when I was younger, I actually wrote a list that has, I think, about 120 things that I wanted in a man.
are you kidding?
I can still remember the friends that I wrote the list with, Belinda and Desiree. We sat down, we said, no. This, because that's around the time Salt and Pepper came out, what a man. This is what I want. I was sitting there being very, I wrote a list of 100 and something things.
I hope you
I
have
saw
at
the list
least
in the
90
Boomer show.
songs.
I actually saw this on a yellow notepad paper, whether I looked at it and I laughed. And I think also maturing, especially if you're in a relationship or a marriage, is realizing all those lofty ideals you had.
Yeah.
It's not to say you to bring your standards down, but when you get into it,
There are compromises.
yes, there are compromises.
Yeah. Compromises.
There are bendings.
And
there
the-
are sacrifices.
And the nonsense that
you gotta
people
make.
think because it's raining, every married person is making out. That is
Whatever, that's a weather for two
the
days.
most untrue thing.
That's when someone says, "Oga, don't near me, don't even come near me."
It might not even come to mind, but you know, every single Pringle out there will just say, "Oh, when it's lonely and it's cold, every married person is copulating." It's not true. When you become mature, you know that there are so many issues when it comes to marriage and relationships that is the farthest thing on your mind most of the time.
But you know, on the flip side, so I have two things to say. On the flip side, when you become mature, you also realize that there is a large role for sex in a relationship.
Of course.
But
It's
on the
important.
flip side of that is you realize that eventually you'll have to get out of bed and work on the relationship and do things as a couple.
Of course.
And you learn. And then I think
I don't think people look beyond
you gotta
that
get
part.
out of bed at some point, and
course.
the things that make your life and your family home work, you gotta focus on them. And I think another part of it is that people don't realize that as a couple, you're not gonna be together 24/7.
You can't
I'm
be.
an advocate for couples having their own
Separate
personal
Yeah,
hobbies,
space.
friends. Not to say friends that your husband or wife doesn't know, but you know, you have a life that is not completely wrapped up in
love
being
it.
a part of a half.
Somebody's-
Because it can be women in particular lose their identity
Yeah.
on that
I
issue.
think couples should even normalize maybe like days apart or weeks apart just to miss each other and get that. I don't know. I'm just saying.
well,
They say
you know,
familiarity
different-
breeds contempt.
Yes.
I think different dynamics.
Yeah.
The fact that if couples can understand what Tolu just said, that you have your individuals. My partner and I, we have friends that are not common. In fact,
But you
sometimes
know them.
I know them, but I don't share their style and things. So everybody does their own. And when I have to go and do my own, there's no quarrel. As long as everybody can maintain a level of individuality,
Yes.
knowing that there's us time and there's
You time.
separate you times. So Tolu is at work not with her husband. Her husband is not a journalist. So that means they have different circles in that department. So you must maintain your individuality. It's only babies that think that, you know, that starry-eyed thing, like, oh, once I get it, Prince Charming,
we won't leave
everything
each
in our blood life just become merged, even in cartoons.
And I think
Individuals.
I think because some people will say that situations differ. There's some couples that do the same job that are even partners.
Work together,
It
yeah.
doesn't mean that you still can't have your own you time. You can be co-workers, you can be partners, whatever, but you can still have your own you
My
time.
friend and her husband share office space. But do you know they go to work separately? She might not even see him in the office in a day. Maybe they pass each other and say, hey, what's up? What's up? She's into
Strangers
tech,
passing
he's a
in and
lawyer. So they have different things that, you know,
That
work their
keep them.
boat.
Yeah.
So
All right.
we've advised you, take advice.
But we said people were coconut heads yesterday.
Of course. Do you think this thing that we're talking but no, I would even not say they are coconut heads. It doesn't even matter to them.
Yeah.
All these things that we're
Until
talking
you
about.
enter it, really.
Yeah.
All right. So, ladies, remember I mentioned yesterday a video of a woman assaulting an FRSC official. Now, the Federal Road Safety Corps has ordered a thorough investigation into the assault of one of its officers by a passenger on the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway on November 7th, 2024. Now, this incident, which has drawn widespread attention, has prompted the Corps Marshal Dauda Biu to order a comprehensive probe and ensure the prosecution of the assailant. The FRSC emphasized its commitment to protecting its personnel and maintaining decorum on Nigeria's roads. The agency has reiterated its zero-tolerance policy towards violence against its officers and expressed gratitude to those who intervened to prevent further escalation of the incident. The lady in the video is reportedly still under custody pending legal proceedings from the investigation. Let's watch.
One. They cover them.
Why?
Just continue.
My face.
Don't enjoy. That is never go. Where is it? It's outside. It's okay. Leave her. Don't touch her. Just leave her.
Why go away?
You are beating my personnel. You are beating my staff in my office. I said release his hand. Release him now. Release him now. Release his body. Release his body. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. That way, it's okay.
Ọmọbìnrin má láyà o.
Like,
I think
she's in. Let's even establish she's inside their compound because the vehicle has been taken to their compound.
Yes.
She's even a passenger,
Not
Not
the
the
driver.
not the driver, who we don't know if he's the owner. She's even a passenger, and she was warned once, she was warned twice, and she continued even after, because the video continues, I think, for a few more seconds. She continued to assault him. I was worried about when he was bending over and trying to
Yes,
deflate the tires, the way
She
she
was
was hitting
kicking at
him.
him.
She could have sprained or broken his wrist. She was kicking his arm, and I'm thinking to myself, I understand sometimes. How do you have this conversation without feeling like you're justifying
yeah, the bad
some of the behavior?
So
Actually,
I
looking
don't-
at this lady, honestly, I would tell you that this is more trauma response because she's acting out of character and silly.
But we don't know what
Trauma
her
of
original
what?
character.
You don't know
No, that's her
what
character.
carry
Because-
over anger.
No,
This anger is not just about this FRC official because I don't see what is provoking it.
So I think
She's
that
just-
we had this conversation. Was it yesterday or some time ago that most individuals now have become defensive because I don't see any reason why you're not the driver, you're a passenger. If there's anything between the driver and the official, allow them. So I don't understand why you are getting agitated and you're even attacking. And I sincerely like that they didn't do anything because the public have a way of switching
Turning
it. Okay,
things,
but they beat her. Why did you beat her? You know, yes, she was doing that, but you didn't have to beat her. It's just
They should take her for mental evaluation.
she get mind though.
No,
You
she
know what
likely
I'm
will
saying?
because you know
they
there are
need to take her
rules
for
that.
mental evaluation because one, she's unprovoked, she wasn't touched. So what would you say is the reason for this action? They need to find out mentally because I don't think she's all right, and she's in their compound. Was she not afraid?
That's one that's really doing me. You're inside
don't
their
get it.
compound. You're surrounded. You can even
Yes,
see
see
his
other
superiors
officers.
as well,
Yeah.
telling him to calm down and then
Yes.
telling you to release his body,
Yes.
whatever terminology.
But
you
what
want
I
to
don't
use.
understand is why she's in their compound.
She
must have- she
they
probably followed
apprehended
the
the
vehicle.
car.
Why?
We don't know what traffic offense. So,
Yes,
so
they
the further
committed.
explanation in the videos, when I saw the video earlier, was that the driver did actually agree that he committed a traffic offense. So the vehicle was impounded, taken to their compound. I don't know about deflating tires. That's a whole different conversation people are not happy about. But that's not the focus of this conversation. She was assaulting him. The driver does apparently say he committed the traffic offense. His vehicle was being impounded until either he pays the fine or whatever the situation is. You are a passenger. How are you more
Maybe she's the
aggravating?
owner of the
How
car.
are you?
Because,
somebody drove
yeah,
her
because I'm
car.
trying to,
And
I'm
she's
trying to,
more like, oh no, it's me.
yeah,
Even
but
I'm
so,
going to
so
go.
because I'm trying to
Even
understand
so.
why
But now
she is
she's
in their
going to
compound.
face-
Normally, they probably would have told her to go, or she would have said she's running late. Maybe she was running late, and then they insisted that she came along.
But
which
still,
is a different-
it doesn't. That's why I say it can be difficult having this conversation because if you talk to a lot of Nigerians, for this video, we can probably bring you maybe 3 or 4 other videos of FRSC officials or traffic officials or police officials on the road misbehaving. While we can understand there's a conversation around the trauma response of it, this is above and beyond. She's going to be fully prosecuted. She's going to be used as a scapegoat.
Scapegoat.
Let's take some reactions. That's what I'm saying. I thought she could have broken his hand there. See the two of you. See the two of you. Let's take some reactions to this video right now. Let's see what people are
Honestly,
saying
this
about
is-
it.
I didn't even see
All right, so someone says, good to speak to this. The woman most likely must have committed an offense to be brought to their office. This offense must be
Exactly.
proven by FRSC. It is wrong for her to hit the man. It is also important to state the man in the clothing he is wearing cannot be identified as FRSC staff. In fact, what he's wearing has an insignia that states cash money. This is important when taking a defense for the woman. Then we need to look into the SOP of FRSC. A car already in your compound should or must be deflated? Question, is it a rule? If yes, bring out the booklet. You know, I told you people were, because a lot of people have issues with this. Someone else said, I took my time to read a lot of comments here. See, some things can be so provoking. This is Nigeria, where many officials step beyond the rules that guides them. However, it's, I think they meant erratic, to lay your hands on uniformed men. But for real, FRSC can be annoying.
Even so,
Huh.
even though
FRSC Nigeria Corps aren't responding. FRSC Nigeria as well. The purpose is already defeated. They stay on bad roads to stop vehicles instead of making the road itself safe for drivers, looking for every means to exploit drivers. Our safety is more important than the fines you collect. Salute to the FRSC officer for being a gentleman and a noble officer by not retaliating to her madness despite the highest level of provocation. Such an officer deserves real accolades. Can we get his name and account details, please? He would need some provisions for those beatings from this rabies-infested she-goat. Someone else said, this guy was very professional because, trust me, I would have swung at least an elbow in self-defense. She should be jailed for a few weeks for this assault. And someone says, you have arrested her. The car is in your compound. Why? Deflating the tire. Okay, final one from this. Even though I feel this agency of government is entirely corrupt in the fulfillment of its duties, I'm thoroughly not in support of this disgraceful behavior and act of violence against another man. Totally disrespectful and unnecessary. So you see, when I said having this conversation, we need to have it in the context of a lot of the engagement that many Nigerians have with the FRSC, with VIO, with LASMA, with police. When I travel to Bumashaw, I can count sometimes I'm encountering 8 or 9 or 10 roadblocks. All of them, madam, anything for the weekend. And generally, I don't have any issues. But I have had issues when I've been in public transport, watching how they engage with public transport drivers and things. So it is not a justification for her behavior, but we can't have this conversation without a context. And I also need people to know a bill proposing that officers of the FRSC, certain officers, not all, be authorized to carry firearms. Passed second reading in the House of Representatives in early October. This is not the first time. This is not the second time. And those advancing the bill believe that it would ensure adequate protection for personnel who are often attacked in the course of duty by some road users or suspected criminals who take advantage of the security challenges of the country. Imagine FRSC being able to carry one.
Imagine how many
So the defense you're talking about is what? Fire when you're provoked, or what exactly?
I'm not in support of that bill because we see what police are doing. Those that are even authorized to carry arms. There's been a lot of accidental discharges here and there.
And even, not even accidental, intentional too.
Intentional,
Exactly.
let's even pretend.
I also understand, although this context is different because she's in their compound, but if that guy had stopped her on the road without a uniform, that's another conversation.
Yes. She might be protecting herself.
FRSC
But I don't think that's the person who stopped her, because he's not the only one wearing that insignia. You know that there are sponsors for some of these things. He's not the only one in the compound wearing the insignia. I don't think necessarily he's the one who stopped her. They're just the officials she encountered inside the compound. There's a lot of conversations to be had on this.
There's a lot of conversations because...
It is.
Anyway, we should go on a break now.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're still watching Jasiri. When we come back, let's talk the connecting power of creative arts and how different forms of art can help build bridges between people and countries. Our guests are Julie McKay, Public Affairs Officer of the U.S. Consulate General here in Lagos, and Naushin Dadaboy, an accomplished U.S. director and cinematographer. Please stay with us. Interesting conversation. If you're just joining us today, you have missed a little, but of course you're about to get into some very interesting conversation. And the show is Jasiri. Today we're spotlighting an initiative that is driving positive change. Our conversation right now will dive into the U.S. government's commitment to fostering growth and collaboration in the creative industry. By facilitating exchanges between American experts and emerging talents in film, music, and the arts, these programs are empowering creatives and strengthening cultural ties between Nigeria and the U.S. We cannot ignore the powerful role of the creative arts in fostering cultural exchange between Nigeria and the United States through music, film, dance, and other forms of arts. These exchanges have built bridges, showcased talents, and deepened mutual understanding between both nations. These programs are not only highlight the rich cultural heritage of Nigeria and the United States, but also empower artists, create opportunities, and contribute to a thriving creative economy.
Joining us for this conversation is Julie McKay. Julie has over 25 years of experience working in education, culture, and the arts. She has served as Cultural Affairs Officer in Abuja, American Presence Post Officer for the Amazon region of Northern Brazil, and as the Special Assistant to the Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs in Washington, D.C. She is currently the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Consulate General here in Lagos. And we also have Nashim Dadaboy, an accomplished U.S. director and cinematographer. Nashim is a short film Oscar nominee, Emmy Award winner, a South by Southwest Jury Award winner, and has films that have screened at festivals worldwide, including Sundance, TIFF, Tribeca, Locarno, and have appeared on Netflix, Hulu, and Disney+. Now, together, we'll explore how these initiatives are shaping the creative landscape, opening doors for aspiring talent, and impacting individuals, communities, and the global stage. Julie and Nashim, welcome to Jesse.
Great to have you.
I saw her looking at me when I was reeling out her bio, a bit of her bio, and she's like, yeah, that's me.
I love accomplished women. All right, we're just going to jump into it because time is really not our friend. Julie, let's start with you. Please give us a little brief background about what inspired this creative arts exchange program and what are the primary objectives? You know, what are we gaining from it?
Okay, so for the last 100 years, the United States has been sharing our culture and our stories through our film and music. And right now, globally, the same thing is happening with Afrobeats and Nollywood. The world is paying attention to African culture, African stories, and we want to build bridges and connections between the United States and Nigeria to help that continue to grow on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. Because we believe that when we do this, when we do cultural exchanges, it drives innovation. It encourages knowledge exchange, and it provides opportunities, both for Americans and for Nigerians. And so we really want to grow that and even strengthen the strong partnership between the United States and Nigeria that's already there.
Great. Okay, now Shane, I'm going to come to you. What inspired you to participate in this exchange initiative, and how has that, if it has at all, shaped your perspective on the creative industry in Nigeria?
Well, I think I, as a cinematographer, we are definitely a minority, like women of color. There are not enough of us in cinematography, and I have had the privilege of having really amazing people mentor me and give me opportunities. So I really love that aspect of being able to give back and mentor other young people, and I do a lot of that in the US. And you know, I like to be able to travel and meet filmmakers from other parts of the world. And I also think that when you are, you know, going to different parts of the world, like I get to see like different styles, and especially like seeing work in like a place like Nigeria, just like how people can make something out of like not having a lot of materials available to them. Like the innovation is very impressive. So I definitely will, you know, take that back into my work too. And yeah, and sometimes it's just like one small thing that you tell somebody that can hopefully have a ripple effect, and then maybe they share it with somebody else. And I just appreciate that kind of knowledge sharing.
So I'll stay with you, Nashim. I know Nigerians are a special bunch of people. I hope we have not stressed you too much. I don't know if that's a laugh of these people.
There is a little bit of nervousness in
Can you start? No, so I know. But you've conducted workshops in Abuja and workshops for budding cinematographers while you've been in Nigeria. How do you approach sharing knowledge while also sort of respecting cultural and creative diversity, particularly with Nigerian collaborators? And you spoke about seeing people do so much with so little. So I'd love to hear about what else you've learned from your collaborations and your workshops with Nigerian creatives.
I mean, one thing I will say is it feels very exciting. Like there's so much energy in the air here. And I don't know if that's just like, everybody told me, like, especially Lagos, they're like, everybody's at 100 all the time.
Julie, how many years have you been here now? 2. She can tell you 100 plus all the time.
Yeah. And I'm like, I need to go back home and take a nap. But I will say that it also makes me feel really energetic about like going back and doing my work. And I think one of the things that has been really inspiring exciting is, like this week I'm teaching a workshop at Entertainment Week Lagos, and we got like a tour of the facility. And just the fact that it's this free space, there's so many opportunities for anybody to just come off the street and learn something, or, watch a short film. Like, they're just creating an environment that's really fostering the creative industries here. And then we also I got a tour of Odagiri Studios. And again, like, just everybody's sort of mantra of like, we really want to bring other people along with us, and I think that part of it's really exciting. And in addition to that, just seeing like the creatives themselves. Like, I was able to get a tour of Lagos from a young filmmaker, Lucky Orire. I'm probably messing up his name.
Orire.
It wasn't so bad. You were close.
We tried.
And he was like, I shot my first film on a Samsung phone, and now I'm like, whoa. Like, I think he gave me some top secret news that I think is going to be announced soon, but it's very exciting what's happening with his work. And yeah, it's just like seeing like just how fast like you guys are growing. Like, what'd you say? You guys have been on air for 9 months and you already have an award? Like,
we have to get the award.
Nobody wastes time here.
We don't have the time to waste.
Julie, I'm wondering that, let's just bring it back to Nigeria. How do you ensure that these programs actually, address our unique needs as Nigerians? Because I know that we're not normal people. A lot of things about Nigerians, and I want to give credit because I'm an industry person. I'm a producer myself. I produce a couple of films myself. And I know we work with a lot of, in fact, we're working with next to nothing, but we're doing our best with what is available to us at every time that we're in. So how do you even, put these programs together to make sure that it's addressing our unique needs as Nigeria? And what are the needs that the U.S. consulate has maybe identified that is making them zero in on this? Because I'm so excited about this creative thing that they're doing, because it's very impactful, and like it's like a spotlight is on the creative industry. So what are the unique things you guys have identified as Nigerian creatives that you need to help us do better at?
Well, first of all, the U.S. mission listens to creative leaders like yourself and others to see what the challenges are and where we can help. And I think some of the areas that we focus on are helping to grow the ecosystem, right? The creative ecosystem, to invest in human capital. There's no lack of talent in Nigeria.
Yes.
I think maybe it's not enough opportunities. And so we invest in training, like having Naosheen here now. We also want to connect Nigerians to new markets in the creative industries, and look for opportunities for people in the Nigerian film industry, creative industries, all of them, to connect with the United States. I think there's a lot when we bring an expert from the U.S. She's bringing her expertise, but she's also learning from Nigerians in the creative industries and taking it back. And so we want to encourage those kind of collaborations as well.
Very
That sounds
excited.
really nice. All right, so Julie and Naosheen, we're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll look at the success stories of the exchange programs and also the impact. You've touched on that just now, and the impact also on people who facilitate, and a further conversation. Because Naosheen she straddles two worlds, and so I want us to get into that as well, and how that can be a positive for Nigerian creatives on the global stage. You're watching Justiri. We'll be right back.
You're watching Jasiri, and if you're just joining us, well, we have been spotlighting the Nigeria-US Creative Arts Exchange programs under the U.S. Consulate in Nigeria. Now, these programs are not just about showcasing artistic talent, but also about fostering mutual understanding, empowering creatives, and building lasting connections across borders. Our guests are still Naosheen Dadaboy, director and cinematographer, and Julie McKay, Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Consulate General here in Lagos. Ladies, thank you for still being here. And Julie, I do have a question. So I wanted to ask, can you give us an example of a success story of any of the individual or two who have benefited from this initiative? And how has this initiative impacted these individuals and the broader industry? Oh, sorry, that's two questions.
That's two questions. It is. And can I give more than one example if I do it quickly? So Naosheen is here on a program called American Film Showcase, and it's a two-way exchange. We bring American filmmakers here, but we also send Nigerian filmmakers to the U.S. And so you may have heard of Kenneth Nyang and his film Oloture, and I think he just swept the Zuma Film Festival. He, in 2018, went on an exchange. He went to Los Angeles, and so he is an AFS fellow. So that's just one. Last year, we brought a filmmaker, well, actually two, a director and a cinematographer to AFRIF to train emerging talent in the film industry. And one of the participants, his film has been selected as the official selection for the Oscars for Nigeria.
Wow.
And Daniel Adeboye at Aboki, and it's
Aboki.
My Murtaba, and it's the first Hausa language film.
Wow.
And so we're really, really proud of that. I think also recently we sent two leaders in the Nollywood film industry. We sent Bolanle Austin Peters and Kunle Afolayan.
Yeah, I saw them. Yes.
To the Middleburg Film Festival. They sat on a
Yes.
panel teaching Americans about African film. And so I think there's a ton of interest in the United States to learn more, to bring more, to collaborate more. And if you'll let me go on, I'll talk more about the successes.
That is so exciting.
It's good to have those successes listed. Nashima, I want to come to you now. I don't know if this is your first cultural exchange of this type, of this sort, in terms of being a facilitator for creatives. But even if it's not, Nigeria, we're like no other people out there. How has this experience so far impacted you? And I would also hope probably enriched your own work in storytelling. And then also, I know people hear cinematographer a lot, but what is a cinematographer's role in the creative industry as well?
Okay, so I'll start with the last question. So a cinematographer, also known as a director of photography, they're it's the same thing. You are basically in charge of the lighting and camera in a film. So you're working with, obviously with the director on creating the visual story, but collaborating then with like the production designer and hair and makeup. And so there's many components that go into that. And in terms of what I have got, this is not my first I went to the Gambia last year, also with American Film Showcase. I'm Pakistani American, but I went and worked and lived in Pakistan for 5 years. And while I was there, I was also teaching there. And I think every time I do something like this, one of the things that I always think about and I'm really aware of is like, I learned film in the US from a lot of white men, a lot of old white men. And I watched a lot of movies that are shot by old white men. And that's something that I am really aware of when I'm teaching, you know, young Black filmmakers or young African filmmakers or, you know, Pakistani filmmakers, is that there is a language and a style of storytelling here and a style of, you know, art here. Like I went to the Nikkei Art Gallery and like, you know, blew my mind. Yeah, totally. And so I, you know, I'm really like conscious of you have so much to bring into what, like all the things that I'm telling you should just be the starting point, and then really bring in your experiences and your cultural specificity into how you're shaping that. And that's something that I think about with my own work. Like with my new film right now, I'm working on a short animated film, and I'm trying to bring in like my, you know, like the history of Islamic art into a story that's very American. So I think that seeing the work here, it inspires me to bring that kind of work back into, you know, my personal projects.
And I think it's interesting you talk about working, like learning under white men and everything, because in recent times in Hollywood, I remember some movie producers and probably directors of photography being called out for how skin of color is lighted. And that had been a big issue. Like they weren't truly understanding how to get the rich tones of maybe darker hued skin. And it's been a change. You've seen a change now in Hollywood where there's appreciation, and you can see how the richness of whether it's African skin, Pakistani skin, just skin that has deeper tones is now adequately shown on screen. And then also the female gaze and how that's a different way in which films also come to life. So it's definitely a point. And Lola was talking about off camera that we're seeing a growth of female DOPs.
No, there's so many directors of photography. At least in my line of work, I have encountered like 10 young women, and they're young aspiring women, I'm really sure they would benefit a lot from your training,
Expertise.
from your expertise. And I like the fact that when a woman tells a story through her own eyes, there's a difference it brings. It's just different.
Totally.
Julie, I want to ask you, looking at the cultural diplomacy at work, how did this exchange program, contribute to strengthening cultural ties between Nigeria and the U.S.? How can the creative industry in Nigeria and the U.S. continue to collaborate for mutual growth? I will rephrase that because half of the time I work with a lot of producers and these opportunities do exist. But we still find out that it is still the peak of the pack that get called to these things. That true indie producers, true grassroots, budding producers or budding cinematographers are not given these opportunities. It's not just the peak of the industry that needs this more. They can even afford some of this training, even if it's paid for. So how is that? What's the dynamic? What are you doing to help do better with that?
Well, let me step back a second and say, and I think everyone here already knows this, but the UN has said that the creative industries in Nigeria has the potential to be the biggest export, right? And so the U.S. is invested in the creative industries here because it's going to create millions of jobs on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. And we look at the connection between the United States and Nigeria. I also don't think that you already know this as well, but there's such a huge diaspora, Nigerian diaspora.
Yes.
Over 700,000 people of Nigerian descent live in the United States. Over 20,000 Nigerians are studying in the United States.
Yeah.
We're connected. And so we just want to make sure that we continue that connection, we deepen it, we send people both directions, we bring Americans. To your point of making sure that we broaden the opportunities, I'll share some of the things that we're doing, some things that are open now, and that we put them out, open calls so that people can participate. So we've started 3 new creative industry programs just this year. Africa Creative Television Initiative, and that is for the creative producer and writer of a TV series to go to the U.S. That'll be opening again. So we've done 1 round of it, and another one will open in January. So you'll be looking for that, and I'll tell you where you can find it. We started in the music space for people below the line, for like music producers, sound engineers, all of that, and promoters, managers. The American Music Mentorship Program with the Recording Academy, that's the Grammys.
Okay.
And congratulations to Nigeria for sweeping the category this year. Only Nigerians are nominated. But we want to help build, the talent, the star power is there, but there are a lot of people and jobs in that industry, and we want to make sure that people have opportunities like that. We also have the Community College Initiative. So right now, 6 students are studying in the United States at community college, getting the script to screen. They're going to come back after a year of script to screen with a certificate. Also, right now, open, USAID has the Africa Creative Blueprint.
Yes, I know that's so now.
Training for 3,500 people in the industry across Africa. But that is open till December 15th. And so we encourage people to find out more about that. And where can you find out more about that? You need to follow us on social media.
Yeah, you need
That's
to
the
follow.
plug.
US
Yes, you
and
can check my
Nigeria.
page also, it's there.
US and Nigeria. And so, yeah, absolutely. We're going to look for more and more opportunities.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
Nashi, we're wrapping things up, but as you mentioned earlier, you're a Pakistani American, which gives you an insight into 2 different cultures, both as an insider and an outsider on both sides of the divide in a funny way. And your background and your experience also come together to inspire your storytelling and help you in creating these visuals that resonate across cultures. What's your advice to young Nigerian filmmakers, musicians, artists looking to make their mark both locally and globally? And I ask that because I think some often have said they feel pressure to either drop or suppress a part of their Nigerian identity in order to be more accepted globally. And yes, we know everybody wants to hit that global stage. Everybody won't, but we know if there's room, if possible for everybody. But how do we do that? How do our creatives do that without losing their Nigerianness or the aspect of really what makes them unique and different on that global stage?
Yeah, and I totally empathize with that because you know, when I'm pitching a story, I'm also like having to think about like how Muslim can I make it? How Pakistani can I make it?
How American can you make it?
Yeah, I mean, America is baked into me, so we can't get rid of that part. It's not going anywhere. But I think, you know, I'm going to like sabotage maybe an opportunity for myself right now. But I've had so many people here like ask me like, would you come back and shoot a film? And like, I would love to shoot a film here. I think there's like, it's a very visual place.
Yes.
The people are so visual. Everybody's always so fabulously dressed. I'm like, I want to just take pictures of everything. But, you know, I think I will never see this place the way you see it.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for Nigerians to collaborate with other Nigerians and really like dive into the specificity of their story. And I think I see this in Pakistan too, where like we had a very healthy film industry, and then we had an Islamic dictatorship that, you know, kind of demolished
Regressed
that.
everything,
So they're growing now, and there's like this confusion of like, should we be Bollywood? Should we be Hollywood? And it's like, well, what's Pakistan? And like that's, you know, you already have Nollywood, you have your voice is already out there. And I think what another industry that I feel like has done that really well is like Iranian cinema. It's so specific. It's so like Iranian, but it's so real to the human condition that it travels. And I think, you know, it's just about being real, and like that specificity, that, you know, authenticity, I think it touches people wherever they are in the world.
Absolutely. Julie, do you want to add anything? We have just about a minute and a half.
Yes.
Did I mention to follow U.S. and Nigeria?
Yes, you did.
She's a PR person.
She's on top of the game.
She's selling her market. Oh, we're so glad.
thank
Julia and Nosheen, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today and your experiences. It's clear that these exchange programs are not only fostering talent, but it's also creating a platform for cultural understanding and mutual growth. We wish you continued success in your efforts to empower creatives and strengthen this important, very important partnership. We're very
Thank you
excited.
so much for joining
Thank
us.
you
so much.
All right, you guys know it's a Thursday, as much as Blessings loved it, and she told us
Yes.
all about it this morning.
Just Monday to Friday.
Now it's a few hours. We are here for you on Friday morning at 10 a.m. West African time, and it's a hot topic special Friday, which means we'll somehow wrangle a guest inside for you and give you some of the latest hot topics. But until then, have a pleasant day, get your countdown on, and we'll see you tomorrow.
It's
Bye-bye.
almost Christmas.